So for the past year about, Ilia Topuria has terrorized the featherweight division in the UFC, KOing Holloway and Volk back to back. And the question on everyone's mind is the featherweight division fucked? Is there anyone that can stop his reign of terror? Well, I'm here to tell you that there is a hero in the darkness. There is one person who might be able to smoke Topuria and brutally demolish him in the first round. So let me talk about who's not beating Topuria anytime soon. Immediately, Volk, Holloway, don't even need to really talk about them. You guys already know. They're both just going to get KO'd again, even quicker, probably. Masvar, maybe he's pretty good at grappling, but the thing with Topuria is that you're just not going to survive 5 rounds with him. I really do believe that. Like, you have to get him out of there if you're going to win. And I'm going to talk about that more in a second. Who else? I see a lot of people talking about Gene Silva. You know, Gene Silva, pretty good, right? Does he beat Topuria? Probably not. In my opinion, he seems to have a very similar skill set to Topuria, and I do think that Topuria does it better. And so that kind of leaves like 1 or 2 people. Aljo, kind of same thing as Masvar. It's just going to be so hard to take down someone as short and strong as Ilia. You know, like just getting to his hips is already tough enough. He's incredibly explosive. You saw him ragdoll Bryce Mitchell in that finishing sequence when he submitted him. Like, it's just, it's going to be really, really hard to even get him down. And once you do, if you're not finishing Calvin Kattar, you know, it's like, it's a tall order to think that you're going to get on the back of Topuria and easily submit him. So it really only leaves one person, our protagonist, Diego Lopez. Now, Diego Lopez by no means is the most technical striker. He's not a masterful wrestler. His jiu-jitsu is pretty good, but who is he really submitted? Like, I feel like he gets a little bit overrated in that regard, but he is dangerous off his back, right? What I want to talk about, because I don't think this is really going to hit the mat, is Diego Lopez's striking ability, his boxing. Now, don't get it twisted for what I'm about to say. Diego Lopez, his power is crazy, but it's not any more powerful than a Josh Emmett or Topuria. And his technical boxing is nowhere near Topuria. I think that Topuria is probably the best boxer that we've ever seen in the UFC. I like just his setups, his combos, the way he understands distance and head movement and all of that. It's very, very, like he's just a boxer that fights MMA. You know, he's a boxer wrestler. He's like an evolved boxer wrestler, like a super Chad Mendez, you know? So why do I think that Diego Lopez KOs him in round 1? Well, let's get into this. I have heard a narrative that the way that you beat Topuria is you get on your bike, you kick him at range. You just can't box with him, dude. You can't box with him. You just got to kick him at range, take him down when you can, you know? And although that is in theory true, like you don't want to box with the best boxer in UFC history who can put you out with one punch, we've seen Volk and Max try to do a kick-heavy approach with Topuria. The only other guy that can kick better than those guys, in my opinion, is Yair. And, you know, Yair's not going to fight Topuria anytime soon. He's just going to get smoked and submitted because he's kind of a soy boy, right? So Diego Lopez, can he really kick better than Max or Volk? I'm going to say probably not, right? He has good calf kicks, but I don't think he's really going to beat Topuria that sort of way. And also, I don't think that there's anyone that is going to beat Topuria by decision, like striking-wise. I really don't. I really, really, really don't. And the reason for that is Topuria is incredibly good at making reads, you know, at kind of feeling you out, getting your rhythm down, getting your timing down, and he stalks you down. You know, like people try to play the matador with him, and he's the bull. But really, I think to beat Topuria, you have to be the bull, you know? If we look at Josh Emmett, there's a reason why Josh Emmett survived all 5 rounds where Volk and Max didn't. It's because Topuria was forced to respect Emmett's power. Emmett is not a very good boxer, right? He likes to wing overhands. He's the definition of a power merchant, big meaty hooks, whatever, right? But even though he's nowhere near the striking ability of Volk or Holloway, he doesn't have the chin of Holloway or any of that, right? He was able to survive 5 rounds because Topuria knew that he couldn't just unload on him without any worry in the world, because he's gonna get knocked out. Like, Josh Emmett can't knock anyone out. That is true. And so a guy like Lopez, where he's gonna be, like, Topuria's gonna be forced to respect Lopez's power, I can see Lopez getting away with not being as good of a striker as Volk or Max, right? And what Lopez is good at on the feet is he'll wait for you to throw a jab or just a straight punch. He'll get his head right off the center line and he'll throw 2 hard combos, right? Like that overhand right with the left hook, you know, something like that. He's very good at seeing your jab coming and countering you hard. And I think against a guy like Topuria, you know, when you're not able to jab and most of your game is boxing, it's going to be hard to get your hands going, right? And so I do think that there is going to be a moment that Lopez is going to be able to counter and KO Topuria, right? Now, that being said, Topuria has good game plans, right? Every single fight that he's come into, he's been smart. He stalks you down, right? And he takes you out. And I think that with Lopez, it's probably going to be the same thing. All I'm saying is that there's a chance. There's a very real chance. I think that Lopez has the potential to beat Topuria, where a guy like Max and Volk, I just don't think that they will ever beat Topuria. They just, stylistically, they don't hit hard enough. You know, they literally just do not have the power to keep Topuria off them to get his respect going, right? Now, the next thing I want to talk about with Topuria and Lopez is we've seen what happens when Topuria gets rocked. What happens when Topuria gets rocked or dropped is he starts to panic wrestle. He shoots really deep into a double leg, and that works. We saw that in the Jai Herbert fight. You see that on, I forget who he fought, but some bum on the local scene that head kicked him and dropped him. He immediately started to zombie wrestling. That is just what he does. He started out with grappling. That's what he resolves. It's what he goes back to when he gets rocked or hurt. And that does work very well, but doing that against a guy like Diego Lopez, who's basically a mini Charles Oliveira, you are going to run right into a guillotine, right into a submission. And I think that if Lopez is able to hurt him, right, Topuria will shoot just instinctually. That's just what he does. And if he shoots while he's hurt, you know, I think that Diego Lopez does have the skills to snatch up a submission and get him out of there. So I think that there is a very slim chance for it to happen, but we could see Diego Lopez get the big upset. Now, one thing that I do want to say is that Ilia Topuria has a very good calf kick. I was saying this going into the Holloway fight, it's his most underrated weapon is his calf kick. And I think that against a guy like Lopez, who doesn't really check kicks that well, doesn't really have crazy good defense, on the outside, you know, he's going to be there to be hit with the calf kick, right? And I mean, it slows down your movement for sure. But the thing is, the way that I want Lopez to approach the fight, I don't think that movement is really going to matter that much. I kind of like, I saw Shay talk about, oh, you know, I want Lopez to be on his bike and try to move. And it's like, no, you can't out technique Topuria for 5 rounds. It's just not going to work. You can't outbox the best boxer in UFC history. You can't outstrike him. If Volk can't do it, if Max can't do it, Lopez, who's worse than both those guys at that style, definitely can't do it. I think that to beat Topuria, you have to knock him out early. I think that really the only person with that ability in the top 5 is going to be a guy in Diego Lopez. So that's about it. See you guys in the next one.